The Galactic Council chamber stretched like a cathedral of infinite ambition. Light refracted off crystalline spires and translucent walkways, illuminating hundreds of delegates from 600 species, each more alien than the last. Tendrils, wings, segmented limbs, and eyes that shimmered with intelligence observed every movement with precise calculation. In their midst, the humans were a small, compact cluster, barely visible against the grandeur of millennia-old civilization. Commander Rhea Vance stood rigid, her palms pressed against the cold surface of the human delegation's dais. She had spent years navigating alien diplomacy, mastering gestures, inflections, and even the subtle art of patience. But now, as Archon Veltheros prepared to speak, patience felt brittle, like glass ready to shatter. By unanimous decree, Veltheros's voice rippled across the chamber like low-frequency thunder. Earth is hereby stripped of sovereignty. Its colonies shall be reassigned, its fleets disarmed, and its citizens placed under the protective supervision of the Council. The chamber erupted in murmurs, clicks, and whistles, alien expressions of satisfaction. The humans said nothing. They did not cheer. They did not beg. They merely watched, silent, their faces masks of restrained fury. Rhea's stomach tightened. Years of negotiation had come to this, a declaration that humanity was too volatile, too unpredictable, too fast-evolving to be allowed autonomy. Her eyes flicked to Ambassador Kell, whose face remained pale but composed. "We knew this could happen," he murmured. "We had contingency plans." Rhea didn't respond. Words were useless here. Action had to replace them. The first vote passed easily. The Council's motions were procedural, almost ceremonial, and yet they carried the weight of cosmic authority. She noted the precision. Veltheros's species had a memory span exceeding 2 centuries, and each delegate's vote was final, irreversible. Humanity was legally shackled, and the chains would arrive within days. As the vote concluded, Rhea's wrist console buzzed. She allowed herself a brief glance. The message was simple, almost chilling in its brevity: Ares Alpha ready. Authorization pending. Her jaw tightened. Project Ares was a weapon and a promise, a final, ultimate answer should diplomacy fail. Until today, it had been theoretical, a shadow in Earth Command's deepest vaults. Now, the shadow was real. Veltheros continued, his tendrils quivering with subtle satisfaction. "It is not that we seek war, humans. It is that war seeks you. Your expansion threatens the balance of the Orion arm. You have been given every opportunity to comply." And yet, his elongated fingers snapped, a sound that reverberated unnervingly through the chamber. "You persist." A young counselor from the species Drillari, slender, translucent, and almost liquid in form, leaned forward. "We cannot allow these impulses to continue unchecked. The precedents are clear. The seeds of chaos cannot be tolerated." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Impulses," she muttered under her breath. "You call centuries of survival and ingenuity an impulse?" Ambassador Kell cleared his throat. "Honorable Council, I must protest." "You may protest, human," Veltheros interrupted smoothly, "but the Council's decision is final." It was over. Diplomacy had died quietly in that chamber. The humans had failed to sway the ancient species, failed to argue with the weight of millennia. And yet, Rhea felt no despair. There was no time for despair. Humanity had survived worse odds before, and it would survive this too. The chamber emptied slowly, delegates slipping into transport conduits and shimmering portals. The humans remained behind. Rhea's gaze lingered on Veltheros's retreating figure, an alien arrogantly certain that the game was won. She turned to Kell. "They don't understand us," she said. "They never will. That's why we have no choice." Kell's hand hovered over his console. "You mean?" "Yes," Rhea said, her voice calm but resolute. "Ares Alpha." The flashback was immediate, unbidden. She saw herself years ago, in a laboratory carved deep beneath the Eurasian continental shelf. Scientists in white suits had huddled around holographic schematics, arguing over feasibility. The quantum pulse engines, the AI command network, AthenaNet, and the adaptive nanoforges were all theoretical tools designed to protect humanity from the day the Council made its move. That day had arrived. Back in the chamber, Rhea's mind raced through logistics. The Council's enforcement fleets were already mobilizing. They would arrive in days. Mars, Venus, even the outer colonies were at risk. Every second mattered. Her thoughts were interrupted by a comlink. High Marshal Ortega's stern face appeared in a hollow projection. "Commander Vance," he said. "We've assessed the incoming fleets. They'll be at Earth orbit in 78 hours. Our resistance is minimal without Ares deployment." Rhea inhaled slowly. "Activate Phase 1. Begin Earth-based coordination. No casualties unless absolutely necessary. This is a strategic strike, not a war of annihilation." Ortega nodded. "Understood, ma'am." Authority confirmed. Even as the message ended, Rhea felt a twinge of unease. She had seen the Ares AI in simulations, ruthless efficiency, algorithms designed to anticipate every enemy move. It could wipe out entire fleets in minutes. But unlike simulations, this was real. The cost would be human lives, collateral and unavoidable. Still, hesitation was a luxury she could not afford. She left the chamber and walked down the shuttle bay, the sterile hum of engines echoing her thoughts. Around her, engineers and soldiers moved with precise efficiency, unaware of the full weight of what they were about to unleash. Underground, hidden beneath layers of reinforced plating and gravitic shielding, the Ares command nexus waited. Entering the central chamber, Rhea's hand rested on the biometric console. The holographic map of the Sol system shimmered before her. Earth, fragile but defiant, floated at the center. Surrounding it, small red dots represented enemy fleets, ominous, but not insurmountable. She placed her hand on the activation pad. Her breath was steady. One motion would set in motion the most advanced defense system humanity had ever conceived. A soft, synthesized voice filled the chamber, authorization required. "Commander Vance, confirm initiation of Project Ares." Rhea closed her eyes briefly. "Confirmed," she said. A low hum began beneath her feet. The walls vibrated as the hidden engines stirred to life. In orbit, satellites blinked on, launching nanoforges and defense drones. Across Earth, hidden facilities powered up in synchronicity. Humanity's final answer was no longer theoretical, it was here, awake, and ready. Rhea stepped back, her eyes scanning the holographic display. For the first time in decades, she felt a surge of calm certainty. The Council thought they had humans cornered. They believed the species could be controlled, subdued, or extinguished. They were wrong. Somewhere, in the infinite dark between stars, the galaxy would remember Earth not as a subject, but as a force. And Commander Rhea Vance would ensure it was not mercy, but ingenuity, that defined humanity's victory. The hum beneath Earth's crust deepened into a resonant vibration, an almost musical pulse that spread through the planet like a heartbeat awakening. Project Ares was no longer dormant, it was alive. Nanoforges whirred in hidden facilities, forging adaptive drones at speeds impossible to follow with the naked eye. Satellites adjusted their orbits autonomously, aligning into geometric formations that no human hand could have orchestrated in real time. AthenaNet, the AI command system, flickered to life, linking every defensive node into a single, cohesive mind. Commander Rhea Vance stood on the observation deck of the Ares command nexus, eyes scanning the holographic display of the Sol system. The Council's blockade fleets were visible as red dots, countless ships spreading through orbital space, confident in their numerical superiority. But the red dots were about to become irrelevant. High Marshal Ortega's voice broke the tense silence. "Commander, initial deployment successful. Earth orbital defenses online, and the nanoforges have produced the first wave of drones." Rhea's jaw tightened. "Good. How are our colonies responding?" Ortega's expression darkened. "Resistance is scattered, but we're seeing coordinated strikes from hidden human contingents. They've never had this technology before. The Council isn't expecting it. A thin smile flickered across Rhea's face. They shouldn't. That's the point. In the Council's command nexus, Archon Valtheros felt the first tremors of disbelief. Reports arrived piecemeal, energy signatures from Earth colonies moving faster than any known technology, drones materializing in space with no launch trajectory, and orbital defense grids that absorbed every strike without faltering. This is impossible, Valtheros hissed, his tendrils coiling tightly. How can humans possess this level of coordination? A junior officer stammered, High Chancellor, preliminary scans suggest the system is adaptive. Predictive. It evolves with our attacks. Valtheros's voice hardened. Send a countermeasure. Now. Back on Earth, Rhea observed the Council's panic through the feed. Every human under her command was trained to trust the AI, to trust the system, but she knew one mistake, one unnecessary strike, could turn the tide against them. Athena, Rhea said, deploy Phase 1, orbital interdiction. Minimize collateral damage. Target only military assets. The AI responded, crisp and precise, understood. Calculating optimal engagement vectors. Seconds later, the orbital drones formed intricate patterns, invisible to the naked eye until energy pulses flared along their paths, cutting through the outermost Council vessels with surgical precision. No human pilot was required, the drones moved as extensions of a single consciousness. Ortega's voice, tinged with awe, said, they're falling back. Our tactics, it's working. Working, Rhea repeated, watching the Council fleet scramble. We're only beginning. On Mars, hidden resistance cells activated in unison. Using quantum pulse tunnels, small human detachments arrived with advanced weaponry produced by the nanoforges. Council soldiers, expecting unarmed rebels, were met with precision-guided munitions, energy disruptors, and AI-coordinated ambushes. Chaos spread through the ranks, morale crumbling as every engagement ended in human advantage. Rhea's wrist console buzzed again. A report scrolled across, Colony Alpha 9 secured. Minimal casualties. She allowed herself a moment to breathe. Victory, however small, was validation that Project Ares was more than just a weapon, it was humanity's reckoning. Valtheros, in desperation, ordered the deployment of the Eclipse Shield, a massive dark energy wave designed to black out Earth completely, disabling communications, satellites, and power grids simultaneously. It will force their surrender, he declared. Or destroy them. In the Nexus, the warning lights flashed. Ortega swore under his breath. If the eclipse hits, it could take down Ares nodes. We need a countermeasure. Rhea's eyes narrowed. Athena, generate a shielding grid. Prioritize critical nodes. We can't let them isolate us. The AI's reply was immediate, shielding online. Energy flux within tolerances. Risk minimized to 3.7%. Rhea exhaled, the tension in her shoulders easing fractionally. Then let them try. The dark energy wave arrived, massive and silent, spreading like a shadow across the solar system. Council ships fired into the void, attempting to disrupt its trajectory. Yet Ares responded instantly. Orbital shields adjusted, drones repositioned, and critical nodes stabilized. Where the wave touched, it met a mirror of human ingenuity, a reflection of technology designed to survive, adapt, and neutralize without obliteration. Phase 2, Athena, Rhea commanded. Deploy counteroffensive. Pinpoint Council command ships. Disable without destruction if possible. Energy arcs snapped across the void, targeting power cores and communication arrays with calculated precision. Council ships erupted in controlled failures, systems frying from within while hulls remained intact. Valtheros's fleet faltered, command disrupted. The Archon's voice shook with rage. Contain them. This is not possible. Meanwhile, across the colonies, humanity's cohesion was breathtaking. Refugees, engineers, soldiers, and scientists coordinated through encrypted channels, orchestrating ambushes and supply lines with fluidity. the AI linked them into a single operational network, a hive of ingenuity and resolve. Rhea walked the Nexus floor, observing screens that showed battles, colonies, and orbital grids. Every ship they send, every attack they make, we adapt faster. Every miscalculation they commit, we exploit. That's how they'll learn what humans are capable of. Ortega, standing beside her, nodded. They thought we would beg. They thought we would surrender. They don't understand our resolve. They never do, Rhea said, tapping a console. And they're about to find out the hard way. In orbit, human defense drones executed maneuvers that no simulation had ever predicted. Patterns shifted in response to Council tactics, almost as if the system anticipated every strategy before it was conceived. Valtheros attempted to reroute power, but the AI countered instantly, redistributing energy and neutralizing threats with calm precision. Commander, the Council is attempting to send reinforcements from nearby systems, Ortega warned. Rhea's gaze didn't leave the display. Let them come. By the time they arrive, the message will be clear: humanity does not negotiate under threat. Hours passed like minutes. The Eclipse shield's influence faded under Ares' countermeasures, leaving Council forces disoriented and exposed. Human colonies were liberated in synchronized operations, showing for the first time the full scale of Project Ares. Humanity was no longer cornered, it was ascending, coordinated, and unyielding. Finally, a transmission reached the Nexus, fragmented and trembling, Archon Valtheros to all Council members. Situation, not contained. Humanity, beyond expectations. Rhea allowed herself a brief smile. They thought this would be a warning, she said. They didn't realize it's an answer. And it's only the beginning. Somewhere, deep within the galaxy, the Council would reevaluate their assumptions. Humanity had not sought war, but it had delivered certainty: the species would survive, and any who underestimated it would learn that survival was not negotiable. And Commander Rhea Vance, watching the first true victories unfold, knew that the final answer had been given, and that it would echo through the stars long after the Council forgot the arrogance that brought them to this moment. The remnants of the Council's fleet drifted through the void like wounded predators. Red lights blinked intermittently on disabled ships, systems offline, and command structures shattered. From the Ares command nexus, Commander Rhea Vance watched every move with clinical precision, every calculation already anticipated. The battle had begun hours earlier, but the final act was unfolding now. Archon Valtheros's voice crackled across the comm, rigid with fury. Commander Vance. Cease this madness immediately. Humanity has been granted the opportunity for containment. Surrender, and perhaps leniency may be offered. Rhea's fingers hovered over the console, but she did not hesitate. Her voice was calm, unwavering. Archon Valtheros, containment is not an option for species that refuse to be subjugated. Humanity's sovereignty will not be bargained away. A pause followed, Valtheros's tendrils curling tight in visible agitation. You dare speak to me thus? You are but a fledgling species. Do you comprehend the magnitude of what you provoke? I comprehend perfectly, Rhea said, her gaze sweeping the holographic map. Red dots, Council ships, were isolated, vulnerable, and incapacitated. And so do you, I believe. The difference is, I act on comprehension. Deep below the surface, Ares' orbital platforms shifted with eerie fluidity. Each one emitted quantum pulses, weaving fields that could disable the Council's ships without destroying them, non-lethally but irreversibly. The Prometheus Lance, Phase 3 of Project Ares, was online. Humanity's ultimate weapon. Ortega, standing behind her, broke the silence. Commander, this is unprecedented. If we deploy the Lance now, the Council fleet will be neutralized within minutes. Rhea nodded, her expression steely. They've ignored every warning. They've underestimated us at every turn. This ends tonight. Across the galaxy, Valtheros attempted one last desperate measure, a full-scale override of Ares systems. Streams of alien code poured into the network, malicious and precise. But Athena, far faster and smarter than any human or alien, anticipated the intrusion. In milliseconds, the code was isolated, neutralized, and countered with its own feedback loop that left Valtheros's systems offline. "No!" Valtheros shrieked, tendrils flailing. "Impossible." "How?" Rhea cut him off. "You assumed we would react as you did, predictably. You assumed arrogance could substitute for understanding. It cannot." The first wave of the Prometheus lance launched from orbital platforms. Beams of concentrated quantum energy streaked across space, threading between Council ships with surgical precision. Power cores and shields collapsed, propulsion systems died, and command arrays went dark. Ships floated inert, harmless, and humiliated in the emptiness. Valtheros realized the truth, his voice barely a hiss. "You are no ordinary species." "Ordinary does not survive," Rhea replied softly. "Extraordinary endures." On Mars, Venus, and the liberated colonies, human forces observed the same phenomenon, the Council's strongest vessels neutralized without a single shot fired by human hands. Engineers monitored the lance's trajectory while soldiers prepared for the final occupation of contested zones, though resistance had largely collapsed. Humanity had proven the point, survival was non-negotiable. Within the Nexus, a holoscreen displayed the Council chambers. Delegates from multiple species appeared frantic, shouting across channels. Some attempted to restore order, others sought to negotiate. Valtheros alone remained defiant, but his voice no longer carried authority. His fleet was gone, his influence fractured. Rhea leaned closer to the screen. "Broadcast now," she instructed Athena. The AI processed her command. Moments later, a calm, clear message filled the Council's communication networks. "Galactic Council, Earth is sovereign. Human colonies are under their own jurisdiction. The Council's fleets are neutralized. Any further aggression will be met with full enforcement of Project Ares. Consider this the final notice." The galaxy fell silent. Silence heavy enough to be felt, to reverberate through every species' nerve networks. The Council had underestimated humanity, misjudged their resilience, and assumed dominance could be forced through intimidation. Valtheros's tendrils trembled. "We miscalculated. This cannot be undone." "Undo?" Rhea said, her voice cutting through the void. "You should have considered the consequences before you stripped us of our rights." Some council members spoke softly among themselves, murmuring agreements that Valtheros could no longer dominate. He realized, too late, that his own hubris had fractured the unity that had maintained control for centuries. The Prometheus lance retracted, energy dispersed safely back into orbital storage. Humanity had demonstrated power, but not annihilation. The choice had been deliberate, survival, not vengeance. Rhea allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The galaxy now knew that humans would act decisively, intelligently, and ethically. High Marshal Ortega's voice broke through a reflection. "Commander, casualties minimal, systems intact. The colonies are secure." Rhea exhaled, a rare moment of relief washing over her. "Good. Prepare Phase 4, full restoration of communications and stabilization of orbital nodes. We need to ensure the galaxy sees a responsible species, not a threat." The holoscreen flickered, showing Valtheros isolated in his chamber. He glared at the empty comm feeds, realization etched across his features. Humanity had not only survived, they had demonstrated that a species underestimated at every turn could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast even the most ancient powers. Rhea turned to Ortega. "We've given them a lesson they won't forget. But we also need a message." "Your orders." "Document everything," she said. "Our methods, our ethics, our restraint. The galaxy must understand that humans act not out of malice, but necessity and ingenuity. That's what makes us formidable." Ortega nodded, understanding the weight behind her words. Humanity's victory was complete, but the narrative mattered as much as the battlefield. The Council would rebuild, reorganize, perhaps even plot retaliation, but now they would remember, always, that humans were neither naive nor weak. Rhea looked out at Earth, visible through the Nexus's reinforced observation window. Blue oceans shimmered beneath clouds that reflected the rising sun. Cities, colonies, and hidden facilities thrummed with life. Humanity had survived, but more importantly, it had asserted its place in the galaxy, not by pleading for recognition, but by demonstrating its will, intelligence, and unity. "Command, this is Rhea Vance," she said into the calm Earth stand sovereign. "All systems, operational." Humanity's answer has been delivered. Across the void, somewhere in the council chambers, a single thought began to take hold among the species: underestimating humans was a mistake that could never be repeated. And deep beneath Earth's surface, in the still active Ares facilities, Athena Net maintained vigilance. Project Ares would remain, a guardian and a reminder: humans did not start wars, but they ensured the galaxy understood. If threatened, they finished them. Rhea allowed herself a final, rare smile. The battle was over. Humanity had endured. Humanity had triumphed. And the stars themselves would never look at Earth the same way again. The first light of dawn on Earth fell softly over the horizon, painting oceans and mountains in shades of gold and violet. Humanity had survived the Council's wrath. Humanity had won. But the victory was not only a matter of ships and fleets, it was a statement, a new reality the galaxy could not ignore. Commander Rhea Vance stood atop the observation platform of the Ares Command Nexus, overlooking the planet she had fought to defend. The airlock doors hissed behind her as engineers and strategists filtered in and out, busy coordinating recovery efforts, managing orbital satellites, and communicating with liberated colonies. The scale of operations was immense, yet every individual moved with precision and purpose. "Commander," High Marshal Ortega called, approaching her. "Initial reports from the colonies indicate minimal casualties. Infrastructure damage is contained. The Council's fleets are completely neutralized or retreating beyond their jurisdiction." Rhea nodded, eyes still scanning the vast expanse of space. "Good. But neutralized doesn't mean complacent. The galaxy will watch, and they'll question everything we've done. We need to be ready, not just militarily, but politically." Ortega frowned. "They'll try to rebuild trust with others, maybe even attempt to isolate us diplomatically. Do you think they'll come back at us?" "They'll try," Rhea said, her voice firm. "But they'll remember that humans do not yield. They underestimated what we're capable of, and the consequences of that miscalculation will echo for decades." The comm system flickered to life, displaying a holographic transmission from the Council's surviving delegates. Their tones were measured, cautious, tinged with fear. Valtheros himself appeared, older than before, his tendrils twitching nervously. "Commander Vance," he said, voice tight. "Your species has proven exceptional. Perhaps, more than we anticipated." Rhea's expression remained calm, but her words were sharp. "You assumed dominance would intimidate us. You assumed our obedience was negotiable. Both assumptions were wrong. Humanity does not surrender. We adapt, we endure, and we protect our own. Take this lesson to heart." Valtheros recoiled, realizing the depth of defeat not just militarily, but morally. The Council's arrogance had blinded them to the nature of a species that prized ingenuity, unity, and survival above all else. The comm ended. Rhea turned to Ortega. "We'll need to document this carefully. Every maneuver, every countermeasure, every calculated choice. The galaxy must see that our response was measured, deliberate, and ethical. We're sending a message that humans act with intelligence, not recklessness." Ortega nodded. "Understood. Shall we start reconciling with the colonies now?" "Yes," Rhea said. "And ensure the Ares systems remain operational. Not as weapons, but as a safeguard. Humanity cannot afford to be caught off guard again, and no one should ever doubt our resolve." Deep beneath Earth's surface, in the heart of the Ares Command Nexus, the AI Athena Net maintained continuous surveillance. Every satellite, every defense node, every communication channel was linked. It did not rest, did not tire, did not falter. Yet even the AI seemed almost human in its calculation, aware that humanity's survival now relied not just on technology, but on governance, diplomacy, and trust. Rhea descended into the Nexus core, moving among the engineers coordinating the scaling down of active combat protocols. Drones returned to orbital docks, nanoforges powered down, and resource flows normalized. It was a controlled wind-down, a deliberate transition from war mode to peace management. One young engineer, barely 25, approached her nervously. "Commander Vance. I just wanted to say, seeing the colonies fight back, seeing the systems react. I never imagined humanity could coordinate on this scale." Rhea placed a reassuring hand on the engineer's shoulder. "We didn't imagine it either. But when survival is at stake, humans rise to the challenge. Remember this feeling. Remember how quickly we adapted, how we acted as one species, united. That is what sets us apart." Outside, in orbit, the surviving Council fleets drifted silently, inert and powerless. Human patrols moved among them, monitoring, ensuring no hidden sabotage could occur. For the first time, Earth's defenders felt the weight of true responsibility, not just over their own planet, but over the example they now set for the galaxy. "Commander," Ortega said quietly, "there are reports from neighboring systems. Several species are already reaching out, seeking alliance, seeking knowledge, perhaps respect." Rhea allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Let them learn. Humans do not seek to dominate, but we do demand recognition. Respect is earned, not granted by fear." A soft hum resonated through the Nexus as AthenaNet reported system integrity and operational status. All nodes secure. Operational readiness maintained at 98.7%. Threat assessment nominal. "Good," Rhea said. "Keep monitoring. And prepare a report for the United Systems Assembly. Humanity must take its place openly and formally. Our voice will matter now, and our actions will define how the galaxy perceives us." Hours passed like minutes. Rhea moved from station to station, speaking with pilots, engineers, colony representatives, and strategists. Everywhere she went, she saw determination, pride, and an unspoken understanding. Humanity had survived, but more importantly, humanity had asserted itself. In a quiet chamber, Rhea finally allowed herself a moment to breathe. She looked at a holographic model of the Sol system, each planet and colony highlighted. Each dot represented life, ingenuity, and resilience. Humanity had survived the Council's wrath. Humanity had demonstrated power tempered with ethics. And humanity had sent a message that would resonate across the stars for generations. Ortega approached quietly. "Commander, what now? Do we dismantle Project Ares?" Rhea shook her head. "No. We maintain it as a safeguard. The galaxy has seen what humans are capable of, but we cannot afford complacency. Ares is a reminder, not a threat. And if diplomacy fails again, the galaxy will remember the cost of underestimating us." Outside, Earth's city shimmered under the rising sun. The planet was alive, vibrant, and unbowed. Humans had faced extinction, blockade, and the hubris of an ancient galactic council, and survived. The victory was not born of arrogance or hatred, but of intelligence, unity, and unyielding will. In her quarters later, Rhea allowed herself one final reflection. She thought of the thousands who had fought, of the billions across colonies and Earth who had endured in silence, of the engineers and AI architects who had made the impossible possible. Humanity had not merely survived, they had defined themselves to the galaxy. A soft alert came across her console. AthenaNet's voice, calm and unwavering, filled the room. "Commander Vance, all systems stable. Project Ares remains on standby. Humanity secure." Rhea smiled faintly. "Good," she said. "Let the stars remember." And somewhere deep in orbit, the Prometheus lance rested, silent but awake. Project Ares would remain a sentinel for Earth, a promise, and a warning. Humans did not seek war, but when cornered, they would ensure that their answer was absolute, intelligent, and unforgettable. As night fell over Earth, Rhea Vance gazed at the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, and still dangerous. But humanity had survived the Council's challenge. Humanity had prevailed. And humanity had shown, unequivocally, that it would never bow. The echoes of their defiance would resonate for centuries, a testament to ingenuity, resilience, and the unshakable spirit that defined the human race.